Unless you have no access at all to the outside world, you know that we are now in week 2 of the Summer Olympics taking place in Paris, France. This podcast is not a recap of the medal leaderboard or a rundown of the individual events. This is about finding inspiration, in this case from the Olympics, to live our best, healthiest, longest, and strongest lives. This is the Wishing You Well podcast. I'm your host, Maria Patrick, and I thank you so very much for joining me today. Welcome on in as we discuss all things health and wellness and this week's inspiration. The world's greatest and most elite athletes have been gathered together. More than 10,500 athletes representing 184 countries have been competing in 329 events in 32 different sports. These athletes have been training for years, but in the world of Olympic Games, you cannot start planning, training, and working soon enough. The Olympic motto is Citius Altius Fortius, which is Latin for faster, higher, stronger. It dates back to 1894 when it was proposed by a French educator and historian, Pierre de Coubertin, who became known as the father of the Olympics and was responsible for the creation of what we now know as the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. Those 3 words, faster, higher, stronger, encourage the athletes to give their very best during competition and to view their hard work and the effort they put in as victory. The motto means that winning isn't necessarily the biggest or the only priority, but what is giving of yourself, giving your best, pushing yourself to the next level, and striving for personal excellence. These are the exemplary goals that the athletes strive towards. This message is a powerful one, and I think it can apply equally to the Olympic athletes and to those of us who are sitting on our couch watching the games from near and far. What does it mean to be an Olympic athlete? And how does one get ready for this biggest and most challenging competition of their life? The athletes prepare for the Olympic Games through many years of intense training, focused physical and psychological training. And I know what you're thinking, and I've thought it too. While it's true that most of the Olympians are born with physical advantages that help them achieve these world-class, record-breaking levels of performance, they also work for many years with coaches who develop an individualized training plan to help them reach their peak performance level. Not only do these athletes devote huge amounts of time to training, but think about this, so few of them actually get paid for their sport. Not everyone has endorsement deals. They must also fit in time to earn a living. Many of them are parents and have families, so it's so much more than just hard-working competitors in training. They are also mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, co-workers. You've undoubtedly heard the expression, failing to plan means planning to fail. I dedicated an entire podcast episode entirely to this concept not that long ago. Since the Olympics only occur once every 4 years, the athletes must plan their training years in advance. For example, the distance runners spend several years building their cardiovascular strength and increasing their mileage goals before they're able to graduate to more advanced training in order to prepare properly for the events. It's also quite a crucial and critical part of the advanced planning and training for all of the athletes to strength train so that they're able to have endurance and to be strong enough to withstand the injuries, especially as their training gets more intense. The physical side of preparing for the Olympics is the obvious part. It's extremely important. But so is the mental component of this, the mental training. It's very challenging to stay motivated and to maintain a positive attitude, to not let the setbacks be setbacks and to get you down. The road to an Olympic medal is often paved with lots of obstacles and setbacks. And as if the training isn't difficult enough, once the Olympic competition begins, the athletes face that added pressure and stress of performing in front of not only a local audience, but international and worldwide audiences while they're training and competing against the best competitors in the world. There are sports psychologists who many of the athletes work extensively with in order to mentally prepare themselves for what is likely this biggest competition of their lives. This is where the inspiration comes. This is where we can learn so many lessons from the Olympic athletes. Discipline, focus, passion, commitment. These are the fundamental principles that help make these athletes the best in the world. And we can apply these principles to the way we live our lives. I don't think we have to be training for a gold medal in order to wake up every day with a great attitude, putting forth our best effort, just like the Olympians do. So we can choose to sit on the sidelines of our lives, and we can wait it out for the next 4 years until the next Summer Olympics, await the pageantry and the splendor that will be on full display in the next city to host, which will be Los Angeles, California in 2028. Or we can make a decision to live the next 1,460 days, that's 4 years, of our lives like a champion would do. Training, practicing, developing our physical muscles as well as our mental ones. And along the way, to support us on our journey, seeking out a support network, seeking out coaches. So how do we get started? I think one step at a time. How about getting up an hour earlier in order to be able to fit in a workout before your day begins? How about trying to fit in a few extra fitness classes per week? Perhaps even trying something new that looks a little challenging. YouTube has a lot of options for you to do this without having to leave your home or pay any money. How about switching up what you're eating? You can take your sugary cereals and granola bars and switch those out for high protein shakes, or eggs with vegetables, or acai bowls, or quinoa with berries and nuts. What a great way to start your training with nutrition, the proper nutrition to fuel you. Most fitness centers have personal trainers available to help us. Sometimes it's already included in the cost that you're paying. So like an Olympian, you too can have someone cheering you on and pushing you to reach your goals. The key to training like an Olympian is all about hitting several different aspects of fitness. One is endurance. Next is power and strength. Next is mobility and flexibility. And lastly, mental toughness. With endurance, you want to be able to keep yourself going stronger, getting stronger and going longer, taking longer periods of time. So you start out with a few reps or a half a mile on the treadmill, and you build up to more repetitions in your weightlifting or longer strides on your treadmill, longer walks around your neighborhood or at the gym. Strength and power. You want to start out with light weights and then gradually increase. Build up to a point where you have muscle fatigue and then move on to the next level. This is key, getting stronger and more powerful to your overall athletic performance. Mobility and flexibility. I talk about this all the time to my students in Qigong class. It's so crucial when you want to prevent injuries, is to be able to enhance your range of motion and create a body that is more flexible. Mental toughness is important in so many aspects of our lives, but especially When we're physically challenging ourselves, we want to be able to be mentally tough so that we can stay strong in the mind, overcome challenges, and maintain our focus. I think that charting your goals and watching your progress unfold before your eyes as you keep track, this is a great way to do this. We have a whiteboard in our exercise room where we can keep track of what exercises we do, what pieces of equipment we use, and how many days a week we're doing it. And the way I look at it is tomorrow is a new day, next week is a new week. If I didn't do everything I wanted to do today or this week, there's always another day. Keep charting it, keep progressing, keep moving forward. We can make the Olympic motto our own personal mantra. You can push yourself to go a bit faster, aim a little higher, and work to get stronger. If you choose to take on this challenge, this inspiration that I'm presenting this week, and begin a period of training and living like an Olympic athlete, perhaps we should immerse ourselves in a bit of French culture by remembering one of the popular phrases about hard work that the French use regularly. I won't try to pronounce it in French because I don't speak French, but it translates into English as this: well done work is half paid. What this saying suggests is that good preparation and hard work will pay off in the long run. If that's too hard to remember, well done work is half paid, you can just simply say over and over again the inspiring and motivating words of the Olympic motto: faster, higher, stronger. When it comes to this year's Summer Olympics, one thing that has caught not only my attention, but global attention, is the rapper, singer, songwriter, producer, entrepreneur, and actor Snoop Dogg, who's made quite a splash during these Olympics. He was brought in by NBC as an events commentator and special correspondent, and he has really been stealing the show. They even created a hashtag follow the dog, to help us keep up to date with his commentary. Snoop Dogg's been a torchbearer. He's provided commentary from the booth and at events. He's sat in the stands. He's walked the red carpet with the celebrities. He's performed at the Olympics, one of the Olympics parties. He got into the pool with Michael Phelps. He's traveled with the basketball team. He's danced in the stands while cheering on the athletes. And he's stood alongside Mike Tirico and broken down the Olympic events. He's gotten attention for staring down the Mona Lisa at the Louvre and for his signature fashion choices, which has included wearing t-shirts that he had custom made with pictures of the athletes on the front. He sat right alongside the family members of the athletes competing, and he's been referred to in social media as the Olympic therapy support dog. And as only Snoop Dogg can do, he has delivered hilarious commentary along the way. He even recently wore full equestrian gear for the dressage event, dressed identically to his BFF Martha Stewart, where he freestyled a rap song while the horses were moving along. His clips have gone viral, and if you haven't seen any of them, you may want to spend some time on YouTube. The reason I'm bringing up Snoop Dogg is not only because he touched my heart when I heard him say that the athletes are superheroes that deserve to be celebrated, but it's because of something he did several years ago that made headlines. It was when he finally received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame after his 3 decades-long successful career. His acceptance speech received a lot of attention because after he thanked the important people in his life, his parents, his wife, his fellow rapper and inspiration, Dr. Dre, his friend of decades, Jimmy Kimmel, and Quincy Jones, record producer, he took the time to thank himself, which you don't often hear. And he said, and it went viral even then, he said these words: "Last but not least, I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work. I want to thank me for having no hard days off. I want to thank me for never quitting. I want to thank me for always being a giver and trying to give more than I receive. I want to thank me for trying to do more right than wrong. I want to thank me for just being me at all times. This part of Snoop's speech made headlines and got people talking about the appropriateness of self-gratitude. Why does it strike us as so unusual and noteworthy when someone thanks himself? Does it seem narcissistic? Is it a humble brag? Or is it a great reminder of what it takes to be successful? I'm sure you've heard the famous Coach Vince Lombardi quote, "The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary." The American football coach Vince Lombardi is considered one of the greatest coaches of all time, and he is so legendary that the Super Bowl trophy is named after him. The hallmark qualities of Vince Lombardi's coaching style were hard work, planning, preparation, and attention to detail. It's no surprise to anyone that when he was the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, he led the team to 3 straight and 5 total NFL championships in 7 years, in addition to winning 2 Super Bowls. In order to achieve success, there must have been a lot of hard work, no days off, never quitting, and trying to do more right than wrong, just like Snoop Dogg said in his speech. When my sons were very young, I often quoted the famous philosopher, Master Eckhart, and I used to say this to them: if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. I have to admit that I always encourage them to show gratitude for others rather than for themselves. May I have a do-over, please? I would handle this differently today. During these Olympic Games, we have found an unlikely teacher in Snoop Dogg. He's been teaching us not to take things too seriously, to look at life through a comic lens, and that it's essential to look in the mirror and thank yourself for everything that you are, for how hard you've worked, and for all of the wonderful things you've done in your life. Not every hardworking Olympian is going to win a medal this year. The path to gold is paved with disappointment for many athletes. Hopefully their takeaway after giving it their all in Paris, France, will be one of gratitude. Maybe they'll thank themselves, just like Snoop Dogg famously did, for their hard work, their grit, their tenacity, their determination, for being themselves and never looking back, always looking ahead to the next games with unlimited potential. Even though many of us may never have the chance to take the podium to accept a gold, silver, or a bronze medal around our neck, or have the chance to stand up and make an acceptance speech where we get to thank our loved ones and thank ourselves, we should all take a page out of Snoop Dogg's playbook and remember to have that daily gratitude for yourself. Your success, whether it's professional or personal or both, is a result of hard work, of effort, of the time that you've put in, and the level of commitment and dedication that you're willing to give it. Each of us, you've heard me say this before, is wonderfully and beautifully made with our own unique superpowers. Your homework from me to you this week is to write yourself into your imaginary acceptance speech. Grab the microphone and thank yourself. There is no better time than now to do so. I look forward to seeing you on the medal podium. Thanks for spending time with me. Until next week, keep on working faster, higher, and stronger. And know that, as always, I am wishing you well.